आज की इस एंजाक डे की स्पेशल सेगमेंट में देश भर एंजाक डे कैसे मनाया गया और आखिर में एंजाक डे क्यों मनाया जाता है, इसी के साथ में हम बातें करेंगे एक व्यक्ति से जिन्होंने पिछले 8 सालों से अल्बनी में कुछ सोल्जर्स की याद में एक मेमोरियल बनाया। नमस्कार, क्यूर न्यूजीलैंड, आप सभी का स्वागत है इस एंजाक डे स्पेशल सेगमेंट लेकर। मैं हूं आपके साथ डेबरा रीड। हर साल RSA यानी कि रिटर्न्ड एंड सर्विसेज एसोसिएशन 25 अप्रैल को, जो कि एंजाक डे कहलाता है, एक डॉन परेड रखते हैं। इस डॉन परेड में वे उन्हीं सोल्जर्स को याद करते हैं जिन्होंने अपनी कुर्बानी देश के लिए दी हो।
Hey, my name is Satnam Singh. I'm a private in the New Zealand Army. I've been in the New Zealand Army for about 6 years now. I joined in November 2012. Yeah, so far I've been training currently domestically and sometimes internationally, but mainly domestically. I get on a day-to-day exercises. We travel around New Zealand and cities like Rotorua, Wairau, Wellington, Northland, and go on a bunch of training exercises, competitions, and sports events as well. It was mainly to do with family history as well. My granddad, he was a officer in the Indian Army, and my dad was in the police as well. So when I was little, we came to New Zealand, and I always had that desire to serve. So at the time, I was studying at the University of Auckland, and my friend who was in the New Zealand Army, he was doing this as a part-time thing. So I'm not a full-time soldier. I'm in the reserves, the New Zealand Army Reserves. So most people who are in the reserves, or also known as territorials, they do their studies or their normal full-time jobs on a day-to-day basis, but they also find time to go on training exercises, whether it's domestic or international or operations as well. So some of my friends, they've gone on operations in Egypt, Sinai, and also Iraq as well, as part of the Anzac deployment since 2014. So I'm looking forward to any future deployments that come up my way.
एंजाक डे एक ऐसा दिन है जहां ऑस्ट्रेलिया और न्यूजीलैंड का संबंध जोड़ा जाता है। जबकि दोनों देशों ने हाथ से हाथ मिलाकर विदेशी वॉर्स का सामना किया, ऐसे ही ओकलैंड म्यूजियम की डैन मिलर से हमने कुछ बातें की कि वाकई में एंजाक डे का मतलब ही क्या है।
So I'm Dan Miller. I'm a contact technician for online cenotaph and Pomo Mahara at Auckland War Memorial Museum. Basically, my job is to help people find out about the service of relatives that fought in New Zealand's conflicts. So this ranges from the land wars right through to Afghanistan. The bulk of our work at the moment is on the First World War and on World War II. So yeah, we're here with my colleagues 7 days a week to help people find out more. Yeah, so we've got a nationally significant pictorial collection and a lot of archives, paper archives from the war, from service people, diaries, letters, a lot of photographs from the war. Obviously, our online cenotaph is a public database, so that takes in a lot of information from the public as well, which otherwise wouldn't be accessible. We've got a full research library and another research collection here in Pomo Mahara. So we've got pretty significant collections all the way around to help people.
गलिपली वॉर 1915 से शुरू हुई थी, जबकि देश विदेशी से हजारों सोल्जर्स ने तब की गलिपली यानी आज की टर्की में कदम रखा। उस वक्त ऑस्ट्रेलिया ने दिया ब्रिटेन, फ्रांस, इटली और यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स का साथ, जबकि वे जर्मनी, ऑस्ट्रिया हंगरी, ऑटोमन एम्पायर और बल्गेरिया के खिलाफ लड़ने आए।
ANZAC stands for Australia New Zealand Army Corps, which was a acronym that came after at the Gallipoli campaign in the First World War, when the New Zealand and Australian forces fought side by side. It's New Zealand's National Day of Commemoration. It began in the First World War, but it's stretched out to all New Zealanders that have served in all conflicts. It's a day for people to remember their loved ones that perhaps didn't make it through those wars, and to remember their service in those wars. So it's an important day for people to remember family and pay their respects to people that have passed away serving New Zealand. just under 100,000 New Zealanders fought in the army in World War I. There are just over 18,000 casualties. The casualty rate was about 60%. That's wounded and those that were killed. So it was quite a bloody affair and wiped out a good proportion of the young men of New Zealand at that time. It was a pretty terrible time. You know, seeing comrades killed right beside them, just seeing the carnage of war. Especially the First World War, that was the first kind of mechanised war in world history. It was something completely unknown. So yeah, just to be an individual in that, you would have been pretty terrified, I would imagine. And to be stuck in that, to try to make your way through war. You're worrying about yourself, you're worrying about your family back home. Yeah, it's a pretty terrible situation to be in, basically. So yeah, it would have been pretty basic bully beef and some pretty basic foodstuffs in the trenches. Conditions in the trenches were really bad, so you have, you know, the uniforms would have been worn through, their boots would have been worn through. A lot of diseases. Obviously Europe hasn't got the best weather, so exposed to all of that, being out in the front line for days or weeks at a time. Always on a knife edge, yeah, on pretty basic resources. So yeah, it was a life that was completely different from what they would have been living before, and for those that served for years at a time, it was a horrific experience that they took through the rest of their lives. Just the trauma of having your family, close family members going away, brothers, sons, grandsons go away to war. Sometimes your whole rest of your families might be over at war, brothers, fathers. So the trauma was pretty bad as well. But a lot of them rallied round and sent letters to the troops, sent them over things that they could be of use in the war, set up organisations, helped fund the war effort at home, I guess. So yeah, it really was a war at home as well as a war overseas. I think because a lot of those that died were young. They didn't get a chance to have a life, and they were serving New Zealand. They believed they're fighting for something. They were fighting for their family and friends, and the nation and the empire, and they gave the ultimate sacrifice. It's important for us to understand the terrible history of war. And it's important for us to know our past and to understand about our past. So every year we put on a large the dawn ceremony. We're expecting 15 to 20,000 people. So that's because we were founded as a War Memorial Museum, that's a really core part of our business. We're set up here with Paumoe Mahara as well to help people research, to help people understand more about their family that served. So we put a lot of resources into that, and there's a lot of expertise here in the museum that can help out. So Paumoe Mahara is the name of our Discovery Centre here. So Pau is a post, a signifier in Māori culture. Mo Mahara means to remember. So that's part of our kind of ethos here. It's part of the proposal of the gallery here to help people remember those that served and those that didn't make it through those wars.
काफी लोगों ने एंजेक पॉपीज भी देखे होंगे, लेकिन क्या आपको पता है इन्हें क्यों पहना जाता है?
So that was in Passchendaele, I believe, or Flanders Fields. So that's it's been a signifier of commemoration in a lot of Anzac countries and in New Zealand as well since the First World War. So it's just an outward symbol of remembrance and acknowledgement of service. Especially for a small country like New Zealand, that history still felt very keenly in a lot of families. There was a whole generation that was devastated by that, and that was mentally marked by the war for the rest of their lives. Had a huge influence on people's personal relationships, on their private lives, on public culture. Yeah, so a catastrophic global event like that will be felt keenly for decades and decades. So that's probably why it's still a very powerful event at Anzac Day and these days. So the importance for us is to get it online with our online cenotaph, is to safeguard it for future generations and make it more accessible to the public. So family can access that information on online cenotaph from wherever they are. It's on our website. People from all around the world can access that information and add their messages and talk about their family with each other. And yeah, so it's important to us to make it accessible and give a greater understanding of those conflicts and the sacrifice and service of those people that were in those wars. So probably get in touch with us. Paumoe Mahara Memorial Discovery Centre is open 7 days a week. Me or one of my colleagues are always here to help. We can help you discover more. There's a lot of resources that are out there at the moment that are available and accessible. So that's probably the first call, just get in touch and we're happy to help.
आज भी वर्ल्ड वॉर 1 और अन्य वॉर्स जिनमें न्यूजीलैंड शामिल है देश के लिए इफेक्ट्स लेकर आते हैं। कई परिवारों ने एक बेटा खोया है और आज भी कुछ सोल्जर्स उन्हीं वॉर्स को भुला नहीं पाते हैं।
Yeah, we have amazing stories come out every day. I've been talking to a family that discovered more about their ancestor that was buried in Malta, and a lot of them end up travelling over to the Western Front or to Gallipoli or to Malta to find their relatives. They find connections they didn't know that they had. They see photographs that they'd never seen before. So yeah, there's amazing discoveries going on every day, and it can be quite a powerful experience for a lot of families to come and discover those connections. Yeah, so it's 100 years since the war, the last year of the war, basically 1918. So yeah, it's a special time for us in the centenary. It's a time that New Zealand it's been pretty significant. A lot of commemoration events here at the museum and nationwide. So yeah, it's a time, there's a lot of new work coming out. It's a time that people are really reflecting closely on those events and how it does connect to today. Probably on the horror of war as well, and perhaps questioning some of those the values of the power brokers at the time, sending generations overseas to fight. But probably more significantly, just remembering relatives that served and those that passed away.
पिछले 8 सालों से एल्बनी की लेस्ली विल्सन ने एल्बनी वॉर मेमोरियल लाइब्रेरी में उन्हीं 77 सोल्जर्स को याद किया जिन्होंने देश की सुरक्षा के लिए विदेशी लड़ने गए। खास करके वर्ल्ड वॉर 1 में उनकी ये उम्मीद है कि वे एक दिन उनकी किताब में एक याद बना रहे। हमने उनसे भी कुछ बातें की। So, Leslie, can you tell me, what is it that you found interesting about the men serving, particularly in Albany?
What have I found interesting? There were 17 sets of brothers that went from the 77 men. There was 3 sets of them were 3 sets of 3. So
Wow.
just imagining 3 lots of all your brothers disappearing. I mean, thankfully, there weren't any 3 of them that were all killed, but of 3 brothers, 2 of them were killed. So,
Wow.
Interesting, sad, isn't it really?
Yeah, it is.
For Albany, a lot of people don't realise how long Albany's been established, for more than 150 years.
Right.
And so there's a lot of names there that are names that are roads in Albany, McClimate's Road, Days Bridge, Cal Park, Hooton Reserve. There's a whole lot of names that are all to do with Albany, and they're all pioneer families, and they were the sons of those families that went.
And so in total, how many men did go to fight war from Albany?
So 77, and there were 23 who were killed.
Right. And so at the moment, you're doing some fundraising. So what is the initiative behind that?
So So I've been researching these men along with a genealogist lady, Audrey Barney, for 4 years, and our ultimate is to write a book about the men, but also about the library, because it was a community library for 80 years in Albany. But I feel as part of that journey is to go and honour those men. So that's something that I'm doing. I leave the 7th of June, and I'm going away for 2 months to France, Belgium, Turkey, Egypt and Scotland. So the 20 men are remembered in 18 different war memorial cemeteries. So I'm going to do that, and I just feel really as a mother, a lot of these men's mothers never got a chance to say goodbye. So that's what I'm going to do, and say thank you for their ultimate sacrifice.
Right. And so is your book going to in some way unite all these soldiers? Or...
Oh, no, I definitely think so, because, of course, almost all war memorials tell a story of the men who were killed, but don't tell a story of everyone who went.
Yes.
And that's a huge story, because, of course, there were men from who died before they even left New Zealand shores, and they aren't remembered on a lot of memorials, whereas in Albany, ours, I feel, is quite special, because it does remember the men before, and it even remembers a man afterwards who came back, obviously had post-traumatic stress and committed suicide. But I just think that's wonderful, because it tells the story of the whole community and how it was affected by war.
So what do you think is the importance of archiving all of this, I guess, as part of the library itself?
Well, when I started this project, there were 7 photos available of these men. I now have 54 photos.
Yeah.
I have gone to most of those families, or tracked those families down, and been able to get those photos. They're 100 years old, those photos, but I feel if my generation don't do this, the next generation on aren't going to have those photos aren't going to be available to them, or people won't know who they are.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's really important. And so I love it that this whole 1914, 1918, 100 years centenary has brought up a whole lot of these types of projects. So the stuff is being archived for the future.
Yeah. And so you feel, or do you feel that, this archiving, it's making Albany as a community a stronger community by, sort of uniting families together in a way?
Oh, most definitely, and I mean, Albany has grown exponentially since the library was closed in 2004, which really was only 14 years ago, and so and